Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video I wanted to talk about AFK stages. Are they a bit too pay to win? And what I mean by that is when you take a look at the record formations for the cutting edge pushers, they will use teams almost always revolving around 2 to 3 celestial hypogeans in them, and in total, depending on which stage you're facing, you could be using a range of up to 8 different celestial hypogeans, which I'm now gonna just list off right now. The meta celestial hypogean heroes this phase for AFK stages have been Gunnar, Mehira, Saida, Kulu. You also have Alna. And these 5 really are used probably the most frequently in AFK stages, and you need to have them at Supreme Plus for a lot of these stages when you're trying to push at the highest deficit possible. Then on top of that, there are some more niche used AFK stage heroes like Velara has now even become niche, at least in these initial 2 phases. We'll have to see for phase 3. Cele for like basically when the enemies have high shielding, because she can cut through the shields if she's fully invested. And then you have your twins as well being used a decent amount in AFK stages. So those are really 8 heroes, celestial hypogeans, that are being used very regularly or kind of needed in AFK stages. Otherwise you're going to get kind of stuck on certain stages. And then on top of that, there are some other heroes very nichely used, like even Dunlingr. I want to first of all start by showing you a replay, and there have been a few records on my push up to Apex right now. There have been probably 5 to 10 records of using actually Dunlingr in AFK stages, which you would think would never make sense. However, it's kind of a good strategy because you can block off the enemy ultimates, and like in this team, for example, just allow your Velara to cast her ultimate. And you guys know Velara's buff, her full magic circle, is huge value for the team. And so like it can actually be a really good strategy, and because the enemy has a lot of ultimates, twins and Brian and things like that. Now you don't need Dunlingr. There are going to be other basically teams you can use to actually clear this, and this is why I'm not saying Dunlingr is like a meta hero for AFK stages, but it's just to show you that even some of these other celestial hypogeans you would think would never have any place in AFK stages, somehow they do make their way in there. And you can see here it's just kind of blocking the enemy ultimates and then allowing your Velara to ultimate and get off her full circle as quickly as possible, and your whole team is safe. That was basically the concept behind that team. But coming back to it, the meta heroes which are used the most frequently, like I'm just going to show you a stage right here I'm at. This is using 3 celestial hypogeans, and they all need to be fully built, right? Supreme Plus kind of minimum, plus 20 exclusive equipment, or plus 15 really, but everyone takes it a plus 20 minimum. And there you have it. And the Alna Saida combo is basically in almost like 90 to 95% of all AFK stages up until this point, which is crazy. Saida is the #1 queen of AFK stage pushing, which we've talked about before. But then if you really want those high deficit pushing, you're going to have Alna with her, because just having Saida alone is not actually enough for you to survive and then also get off all of her ultimates. And then Gunnar is being used a lot because, you know, Gunnar is actually really good for these Damien stages for a couple of reasons. #1, he's going to heal block the enemies when 2 casts of his ultimate. And then that prevents the Damien healing from sustaining and causing you to timeout. And then the other thing that he does is he's gonna, like, if you see it here, Damien always spawns and throws his paper plane or toy plane at the furthest away enemy, which is gonna be Skyclops here. But Gunnar is gonna keep him invincible for the whole fight, and basically Damien's just throwing his toy airplanes into the wind now. Before, Damien was really annoying to kind of deal with. You would have to have some summoner, like, you know, Lucy and things like that. But Gunnar has made it much more foolproof for these stages. So, yeah, Gunnar, he puts in a lot of work. I would have to say he's probably in 25% of all stages. Maybe even more than that, if, like, Alna and Saida are, like, 90% plus. But then you have some other, like, you know, regular faction, more free-to-play friendly heroes like Hugin, like Velara. They're used a lot in stages, but obviously you're not going to clear any stage with Hugin and Velara alone. It's just they're incredible supports for these stages, but like the core of the comp is really these celestial hypogean heroes. So the thing I want to talk is this, and probably the direction things are headed is it will continue to be almost every celestial hypogean release to be some AFK stage usage. If we look at the most recent releases, most of them have been AFK stage either meta, like Alna and Saida, like super meta, and even Gunnar, or they have been kind of on the more niche side, and actually Kulu has now become majorly meta. Kulu is also using like 30 to 40% of all stages Supreme Plus, because you just have the Alna Saida Kulu comp, which is so deadly because you wall up, you protect, and then your Saida just goes in and gets their ultimates off, and yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, we're actually gonna do some gameplay in this video as well, just because we have to do some more stages, and now I'm gonna show you guys how to analyze replay, and then follow it in manual battle. This is important, and it doesn't just apply to, for example, these pay-to-win comps. It applies to any manual record you see in the formations. So first of all, you will watch the replay, and you're gonna look at the timings of things. Now, for example, in this team, the key heroes which are gonna be on manual, Hugin is usually always on manual because he wants to ult on himself, because it allows him to more rapidly cycle his shields, and that's usually the strategy, at least up until all of Saida's ults are off. And Saida will also be usually on manual because you want to position enemies in a way or block or keep stunning a certain enemy and take aggro from them, so that's basically it. And Velara usually on auto, Gunnar, Alna usually auto or very like minor manual. So we're gonna watch basically these two heroes and see what are they doing. And then we're going to copy it. That's basically AFK stage manuals in a nutshell. So there we go. Saida ultimate on this target right here, which is nearest to her. So the first one should just be an auto, because Saida will, on auto, she'll ultimate the hero closest to her. Hugin is ultimating himself, and if you guys didn't catch that, I'm going to analyze that more. So Saida, okay, we're going to again ult the same target. Now, you see this extra ring that was glowing beneath the Hugin? That means Hugin is ultimating himself, right? It's really difficult to pick it up when you're watching a replay. Sometimes Hugin does ult different targets, and they will have a ring underneath them, for example, like if he did on Saida. So all this is very simple, right? So you're just going to do all three ultimates on the back left, not holding anything, and Hugin's just going to keep ultimating himself, and then you're just going to clean it up from there. And I'll show you how to like maximize the damage of Bulwark Spell, because that is the artifact being used for this, and most AFK stages. That's another whole point I didn't even talk about yet. Bulwark Spell is a pay-to-win gated artifact. The free-to-play players who don't have a Spirit Monthly don't even have this artifact, and that also has caused some problems, even for people who don't have all the pay-to-win heroes. Sometimes they do come up to a stage if they're pushing hard where all of the records are using Bulwark Spell, and that does feel bad. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna lock this one in, and before we get into the battle, I just want to show you my manual battle settings that you guys can set as well if you want to follow along with any manual basically replay following. So then, okay, we're gonna go ahead into the battle, and we're gonna have it on normal speed, and we're gonna turn off the cogwheels of Saida and Hugin. Like we saw, those are the only two heroes which are gonna be on manual casting. So we're gonna go for the Saida ultimate onto the back left target, like was in the replay, and we're gonna use Hugin ultimate onto himself. As you guys see here, the cogwheel is gonna be beneath him, and it's really subtle, honestly. And if the character's model is big, or there are other characters nearby shrouding it, it's really difficult to see in a replay actually who is being targeted by the Hugin ultimate. I really wish they made it more obvious so we could tell, because otherwise you almost have to kind of like do a bit of trial and error and figure out which was he actually targeting with the Hugin. Okay, so luckily all the other heroes are on manual, and that's why this is considered a simple one. Gonna go for Hugin one more Saida ultimate. That's gonna launch her third one, and we're gonna do one more ultimate onto Hugin. Gunnar's getting low on health. We need to give him the shield. Oh, Alna goes down, and Alna going down, I don't believe that happened in the replay. I wonder if we did. Maybe there is a different strategy, but let's see if we can still try and clear it here. So what I like to do is I like to give Hugin, at least one Hugin ultimate onto Gunnar, because that is going to allow Gunnar to get off another ultimate. And basically how Gunnar works is if he gets two ultimates onto that same zone, like with this burning land that he has here, he is going to permanently block them from healing and shielding. It's not like they have to be rapidly... so there we go. We got it, and now all of these characters should be blocked. We're gonna keep cycling the Hugin ultimates on himself because it's fine for damage, and also it does give us the maximum number of shields, which might be helpful if, you know, we get another explosion from the cart. I'm just gonna use Saida and maybe stun the cart of Damien. Maybe if we can kill the cart quickly before it's able to explode, that can be beneficial for us. We're gonna keep cycling the Hugin ultimates on ourselves. And notice one thing. A lot of our damage right now, it is definitely coming from Saida, her blood spikes, but it's also coming from the artifact. The artifact is dealing massive damage. We're going to go for another Hugin ultimate here. Can we kill this Damien cart before? Great, we killed it before it exploded. That's great. That's going to keep our team alive. And now we have all of these 4 different zones. So yeah, Bulwark, it deals damage to enemies within 3 tiles of your carrier of it. And your carrier is the frontmost hero in your formation, and so that is going to be Saida here. And so for her shield value, she keeps triggering like this damage very frequently to anyone within 3 tiles. And so you just want to keep all enemies within 3 tiles of her, which everyone is. I just want to see, I don't know how much health this guy has. I think I'm just going to keep attacking this toy chariot, because it looks like we're going to have to maybe kill the toy chariot. Not only the enemies here, because this toy chariot spawned at an awkward time. Sometimes if it spawns, you can just leave the toy chariot be, and you can try to have it just explode into you, and then you don't have to actually do anything with it. We have only 8 seconds left. I think we should be good to kill it. We've killed all the enemies here. We'll go for one last Hugin ultimate onto the Skyclaws, because apparently that does boost your damage by the most. And because we're not going to be able to cycle another Hugin ultimate in time, so there we go. And then we just go for Saida ultimate. So yeah, I think maybe we deviated a bit from the replay. We do barely get the clear. Our Alna died, and that is an important thing about basically, you don't want anyone on your team to die, because your artifact damage is a proportionate to your whole team's attack, right? And so if any one of your character dies, it reduces your team attack calculation at that point, and that lowers your overall damage output. So if Alna would have survived, we would have had a much more convincing clear, but because Alna died, we didn't. So maybe I missed, maybe one of the Hugins should have been on a different target. I just assumed that they were all on yourself, or that's what I was able to tell. But yeah. Okay, so we have another stage here. We'll just do one more stage just to show it to you. So again, you're seeing the same common suspects. Saida, Alna, basically in every stage, like I was saying. And then you have your Kulu. Either you run Gunnar, for some stages, a lot of stages you run Kulu, because you just wall off the enemy, and then Saida just has basically a playground with the enemies just jumping around on them, and your other allies are protected. And it's especially good when the enemies are purely melee and they don't have any dash. Basically, there's a lock behind there. So we're going to go ahead and again take a look at the replay and see what strategy is being run. This is Shelby, who is an expert pusher. Let's see. So Saida is manual on the first one, and it looks like it's going off onto Brutus, right? Brutus, and Hugin is manual. And where is Hugin going? On himself. You see this gear right beneath him. So Hugin onto himself first. You can even make notes of this, like, on your thing. Kulu is on manual. A lot of times, Kulu is left on manual because the thing is, when she casts her ultimate, it deals a lot of damage to enemies, and then it gives them energy. They gain energy based on the damage they received, and then they can get off their ultimates, which is, until you have your Saida ultimate going off, usually you don't want them casting ultimates because it can interfere with everything. So you can just hold the Hugin the Kulu ultimate until later. Okay, so the next Saida ultimate is manual, and it's on the Atalanta in the back, okay? Now we have Hugin, and who is really tough to tell who he gives it to the second time, because you already have that spinning clog underneath him. I think he gave it again to himself, I'm pretty sure. Okay. There is actually one other way you can tell about who Hugin is targeting. It will say, like, just in text, haste and attack buff increase, like for 1 split second, it's going to appear on the character who he gives a buff to. But if it's a hero who was already buffed, like himself, he was already buffed, it won't say anything. So that's the other, so like, you'll just have to look. If it doesn't say anything on anyone, that means it's, again, he's just giving it to the same target as before, which was himself. Okay, but yeah, this is more confusing than it has to be. Now Khafra with the final Saida ultimate. And I feel like Hugin may have given it to Saida on that final one. Usually that's what I do. Okay, now looks like Valka is going to be the major maybe tankiest one here, but it's pretty simple from this point on. And I'm just curious, who is he giving the Hugin to? He's not giving it to himself because the gear wasn't below himself. I think he's giving it to potentially to the Saida. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and now show this in action. Just to show you how this is done. Okay, so we're going to go in here and turn off the Saida, turn off the Kulu, turn off the Hugin, okay? Now, Saida's first ultimate is going off on the Brutus. So we're just going to go and hit the Brutus here. And then Hugin is going to be on himself. One other strategy I'm doing right now, it's maybe you can't tell, but I'm actually, when you're basically the trigger, how do I say it? Your character, like, you can click right when the fire appears behind the character model, or you can already press and hold, and as soon as the fire appears, you can release. Because actually on the release of your key, whether it be your mouse or whether it be your finger on the phone, that is when you actually get this freeze frame and you're able to then use your ultimate. So the next one needs to be on Atalanta. We're ending in a weird position where our positioning is off. So I think I used my Saida ultimate too early. And so this could be a problem. I'm still going to carry it through. And because you don't always have to do it exactly like the replay, as long as everyone survives and they're grouped up pretty nicely, it should be fine. And like even for this group up, doesn't necessarily matter as much because Kulu is going to launch everyone back, you know, like she just did right there. So the final ultimate wants to be on the Kafra, but I can't really target it. I'm just going to go here. And sometimes I chain the Kulu ultimate right after Saida. Usually it's fine and it just buys a bit of time. Okay, so Saida's off to the races. Now what we're going to do is we are going to, I don't know, give it to the Cyclops. I'm going to try giving Hugin buff to the Cyclops because apparently that's good for damage increases. And we don't need to use the Saida ultimate right now, so I'll just chain it with the Velara just to save a bit of time on the Velara. Okay, I'm going to maybe keep using Saida on the Velka because I think she might be the tankiest one here. Okay. But now we should be good to go. We'll just give Hugins to the Cyclops, or you can cycle Hugin on himself. We'll put auto on the Kulu. She should just be firing off whenever she can. And honestly, we could even auto the Saida. I think these enemies are definitely going to be going down. We have 42 seconds left. And Bulwark Spell deals massive damage. You just want to always make sure at all times, if your Saida is the one with Bulwark, or whoever the character you're using is with Bulwark, they need to be within 3 tiles of all of the enemies so that you trigger the damage. If, for example, they're way across the map from you, you're not going to be getting that Bulwark damage onto them, and you're going to be losing out substantially, right? So give another Hugin ultimate to Cyclops, and there we basically have it. So this one was pretty simple, even though we did deviate from the replay. We did the first Saida ultimate too early compared to the replay, but it was still all good in the end. And that's kind of the luxury with Kulu as well, because she can just group up enemies even if they come ungrouped and things like that. So we're not going to do another replay. Maybe we will do more of these videos in the future, but basically just to show you the meta, it's again Saida, Alna, like I said, and now the third celestial hypogene, we're seeing Mehira. First we saw Gunnar, now then Kulu, then Mehira, and basically it just cycles between them, and it's usually always Hugin and Velara as the final 2 heroes, because Hugin provides great survival and also buffs, and then Velara great buffs and then also survival when our full circle is active. Or you can run a Kulu comp. Oh, interesting, this isn't even using Alna, that's interesting. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for this video. Hopefully it is helpful or at least enjoyable. Let me know your thoughts about AFK stages and are they too pay to win in the comment section down below. And yeah, I mean, AFK stages are a game mode which I really neglected up until like I guess phase 2 of last season. Then I started actually taking it more seriously, and I am really enjoying it now. It is really kind of rewarding when you push a difficult stage, but at the same time it is insanely time consuming. So like this is only for people who have plenty of spare time to actually invest into your AFK stages, which is not a worthwhile investment monetarily, but it is like for your own basically feeling of fulfillment and achievement. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. My affiliate link is in the description of this video and a pinned comment. And you can actually bookmark this link in your browser. And whenever you're planning to make a purchase, just return to the bookmark link and make your purchase. It will support me and be greatly appreciated. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.